have arrived.
Welcome to game 2 of the series. Pretty good game last game. Luvnest pulled ahead pretty early though, thanks to some early wipes. Started slowly boxing Paul in. Paul didn't think he could recover, so now we're going to get a fresh start here in game 2. Paul instantly locks in close air support, and he's going to try the exact same thing his opponent did against him. But if he wants faction selection in game 3, he's a pretty tall order. 420 some victory points for Luvnest last game. Paul's going to really struggle to top that should he manage to win this game. He's going to go left with some Pyos, ghost a little bit of barbed wire there on the munitions point, get that under control. And his Grenadiers are taking control of the strategic point right here. There's a tier 1 structure there, making more Grenadiers. And it's going to be a pretty standard opening. Just throwing infantry on the field for now. Pyos finished grabbing the munitions, and we'll have to jump into this green cover, protect themselves from that squad of conscripts, but it looks like they're flanked. We'll hide here in this little corner. Looks like they have green cover right there based on the amount of damage they're taking. Grenadiers moving up to take control of the victory point. And Luvnest isn't sure how to proceed. Gonna lead the charge with those combat engineers against those Grens. Looks like those Grens do have green cover based on the amount of damage they're taking too. Conscripts are just going to charge into point blank range. Pyos are moving to flank. Might be able to turn this engagement in Paul's favor with this flank. He's going to work on the combat engineers first. Conscripts are dropping models before Grenadiers. I don't know who's going to take this. Okay, Paul takes the engagement. Nice flank with the Pyos right there. Nice engagement for Paul. Grenadiers will have to reposition to reinforce a little bit, and Paul's going to start throwing barbed wire here on the center VP to get it under his control. Conscripts throw up green cover over here on the munitions point, and these Grenadiers are going to take control of the fuel over there on the right. Third squad making its way to the battlefield will not be able to win that engagement. Paul repositions to safety, barbed wire completes, and Paul should be able to maintain control of this victory point for a little while as a result. Luvnest goes with a 4 conscript opening. His loadout is guard, motor, shock rifle, mechanized support. Hasn't changed it at all. Any one of those could probably work really well on this map. And an MG42 is on the field for Paul. It's going to make its way left. Curious how many he's going to make. He seems to like high MG builds. As Ober Commando West, I've seen him go as high as 3 MG34s. As Oster, I'm a little less familiar. On this map, I could definitely see him going with at least 2. Maybe just 1. We'll see what he chooses to do. Still a little ways to go before he can start redistributing resources for LMG spam against conscripts. And there's guard motor coordination chosen. So, Luvnest reasonably confident what he wants to do this game. He's not going to try and make shock troops work on this long-range map. He's just going to make guards and probably also heavy mortars. I know he likes mortars. I don't know if he's going to make a tier 2 mortar or just go straight for heavy mortars. See what he chooses to do. Grenadiers defending the right side fuel and green cover. Combat engineers throwing down some mines. Conscripts continue to defend that munitions point in their green cover position. And Paul's going to start going pretty hard left to try and get double fuel control. He will have to unseat conscripts in a green cover position, but he should be able to do so easily enough with this quantity of troops. Grenadiers charging across the river into short range against the conscripts in this position. One squad is forced to retreat, but the engagement is Paul's. Conscripts are forced off the map. And here comes a cutoff from Luvnest straight down the center to get control of this area. One squad of conscripts is going to move to try and maybe cut off some of Paul's resources over here on the left side. These Grenadiers are still in green cover, have not been engaged yet. They may be able to force a retreat from some combat engineers if they catch them. Conscripts making an attempt for this cutoff point are clearly going to fail. Grenadiers have won this engagement easily and can reinforce here by the tier 1 structure. Conscripts should retreat from that. This squad of conscripts looks like it may force a retreat from those Grenadiers if suppression doesn't kick in, which it does not thanks to their green cover. And the Grenadiers just got sniped! I can't believe that snipe just happened! They had 2 models left and they just both died. Pretty bad RNG for Paul right there. He's going to have to replace that Grenadier squad for sure.
120mm mortars are now available for deployment. The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
I don't avoid saying blob. I say blob like all the time. It wasn't really a blob though. It was just 2 squads with a machine gun. I don't think I would call that a blob. It was 3 squads versus 1.
How can we help?
Ohio is taking control over this strategic point right there. And Grenadiers taking control of the munitions over here. There's the first squad of guards from Luvnest.
Guard rifle infantry squads are now available.
And there are a lot of mines down on this battlefield now. If Paul wants to retake control of the right side, he's going to definitely bleed or need a minesweeper, one of those 2 things. MG42 is going to suppress those conscripts on the cutoff. Grenadiers on the flank. Combat engineers have to retreat. Paul will need to be very careful in his attempts to retake everything on the right side. There are mines everywhere. One there, one there. One there. Conscripts ooh-rahing into short range against these Grenadiers to try and get control of this fuel point. Might come down to RNG who wins this. Grenadiers do drop 1 model, 2 models, 1 Grenadier model also dropped in exchange. I can't tell who's going to win that. Probably the Grens. Thank you for your kind words and your $1 donation, Romeo Forever Fan Club. There's the minesweeper from Paul. Nicely played. He will sweep up that mine on the center VP, and he still has this barbed wire here to prevent too easy harassment of that. Grenadiers have to engage against these conscripts from range. Paul should be able to win this. Retreats that squad, which is taking a little bit of damage. Charges into close range with those Grens. He's probably hoping for some lucky long-range suppression, but it's just not happening. I don't know, Paul may not be able to win this engagement. He does win the engagement for the right side. Clearly, Grenadiers take the fuel and the strategic point, so Luvnest has 1 fuel point coming in. I'm not sure if Luvnest will tech or not this game. He's throwing up tier 2. He always, of course, goes tier 2 at some point, but I don't know if he's going to go tier 3 or not. He's got a lot of fuel. He could probably justify that.
That is how you stack sandbags, comrades. The new men have arrived.
But he hasn't had a huge fuel lead. He hasn't had both fuel points for any period of this game, I don't think. Another mine swept by Paul. Nicely done. 2 mines swept. I don't think he's stepped on a single one. Not yet. Making good use of that minesweeper. MG42 over here on the left side grabs this munitions point. The conscripts in this position did have to retreat to safety. Wires being snipped here by Luvnest minesweeper. Nicely done there. And conscripts move up into a green cover position on Paul's cutoff to try and shut down any resource income from the right side. Paul clearly struggling to maintain very strong map control, but he's not in a horrible position either, and the victory points are still in Paul's favor by quite a bit. 471. He's still actually ahead of where Luvnest was in game 1, so he's doing okay, but he's about to be triple captain. He needs to try and turn things around somewhere. He will push this cutoff attempt away from his base, and he's able to redistribute resources now, throwing LMGs on, I think, all of his Grenadiers except for this squad. So that should help. MG42 has to retreat from the left side. Grenadiers will attempt to push Luvnest's conscripts out of this green cover position. It'll take a little while, but in their green cover they should still lose. Late retreat on that minesweeper. Gets wiped. That's not good. He was making such good use of that minesweeper. And it goes down. I don't even know if this Grenadier blob can beat this. Okay, with the rifle grenade they should maybe win. Jeez, that did almost nothing. Even fielding pretty much all of his forces into this engagement, Paul may not be able to force those guards from this green cover position, and it looks like he's going to have to retreat from that. LMG Grens move to take that strategic point. These Grenadiers are going to work on the conscripts in this green cover with an MG42 to support.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Grenadiers force a retreat from the conscripts right there in the center point. These Grenadiers moving to take back control of the cutoff. A couple squads reinforcing and healing in the base. These LNG Grens have to retreat from conscripts on the left. And Paul has definitely lost faction selection in Game 3 should he survive his current situation. But the game hasn't really seen any huge turning points. S-mine field over here on the left side from Paul. Guards do manage to get the point captured before repositioning away from that. Continue moving right. With his minesweeper dead, Paul's just going to have to gamble a little bit that there are no mines over here. Currently the only one left is this rifle grenade on those conscripts. Forces a retreat. We'll reposition into a little bit of green cover away from this fresh squad. And over here on the left, free sandbags from those conscripts to protect that particular area. Rifle grenade forces those guards out of cover temporarily while Paul tries to close the distance, and I don't think Luvnest can win this engagement. He will force 2 retreats though. DP machine gun dropped and immediately recovered. Guards will finally be forced to retreat away from 3 LMG Grens.
The sector is at risk.
Man, guards can take on a lot of infantry by themselves. They are so hard to force from cover.
Have been trained to repair damaged vehicles.
Be brave, comrades!
Apparently Luvnest has gone tier 4.
As ready as we can be.
So, interesting choice. He will still be able to get the fuel together for Collins by about 10 CPs, depending on what tier 4 unit he fields. Not sure what he's going to go. Probably Katyusha against close air support. Seems like it would make sense. I'm not really expecting Paul to go tier 3,
Targeting of vehicles is now available.
since he's returning all of his fuel into munitions to try and help him with rifle grenade spam and LMG spam. These Grenadiers are going to lose this engagement. There's the retreat. These Grenadiers trying to force these conscripts away, but they can't win that either. There's an anti-infantry strafe from Paul, and it will force Luvnest to make a full retreat with that blob right there, while the MG42 is going to hit that mine. 2 models killed. It's not that bad. MG42 will get this point captured, and there's 1 squad of Grenadiers remaining over here on the right side. And now that Paul has access to anti-infantry strafes, it may help him win against Luvnest's infantry, and Luvnest won't be able to blob so hard either. He's going to have to split his forces up a little bit. Pio's taking control of the left side strategic point. These Grenadiers skip past the VP and are going to try and flank that squad of conscripts right there. There's a couple mines on this half of the river, so Paul does need to continue being careful. There's a fresh Pio squad on the field, but no minesweeper upgrade on it yet. He should probably try and get that soon. Rifle grenade into those conscripts. Pretty good damage on that squad. There's the retreat. Those Grenadiers might hit that mine though.
Enemy is gaining a foothold.
Ouch.
300 points.
3 models taken out by that. MG42 trying to keep some guards at bay over here on the right side. Does manage to suppress them. Grenadiers taking control of the left side munitions and fuel point though, and Paul has pretty good map control right now. He's definitely taking back control of this game, thanks to the power of close air support, anti-infantry strafes, and LMGs. Conscripts will try and Uran to close range against those LMG Grenadiers. It looks like the HMG42 on the right side will be forced to retreat eventually once those guards jump into green cover. Most of Luvnest's heavy firepower stuff currently tied up over there on the right side. Those 2 squads of guards, one of which is Vet 2, and both of which are probably upgraded with DP machine guns. Be able to create a pretty strong position over here. May be difficult for Paul to win engagements for that area, but everywhere else he seems to be doing kind of okay. Pilots can probably hold the line against a minesweeper for a little while before conscripts arrive. Paul needs to heal and reinforce a little bit here in the base, send some squads to various locations. Try and maintain control of the game. Luvnest definitely has a solid victory point lead though, so Paul needs to execute pretty well. He can redistribute again if he needs to spam some rifle grenades to turn engagements in his favor with LMG Grenadiers. So Pios are going to get wiped again. Paul!
Our brave infantry is dying.
Needs to be a little more attentive to those flank engagements. Just lost a second squad of Pios to not having paid any attention. Anti-infantry strafe in this engagement to try and make sure that he wins, and he will force a retreat from that squad of conscripts and possibly also that minesweeper. Conscripts are set up over here in green cover. It will take Luvnest a little while to take that engagement. Whoa, almost a wipe right there, but I think Luvnest reacted just in time. get that squad to safety. I don't think Luvnest has lost a single squad. His unit preservation today has been almost flawless. Pretty impressive. On all points of this map. Paul, on the other hand, has lost 2 Pyos, which isn't the end of the world, but it does hurt. He needs to try and be a little more careful. Hurts his manpower.
Enemy machine gun! Man down! He's gone!
Grenade into the building. Paul will dodge. Guards have to retreat from that engagement. And is that a PTRS? I thought I heard a PTRS. No, never mind. Paul has not yet recovered any weapons from those guards, which is one of the only weaknesses they still have. Their weapon pinatas.
Grenadiers ready.
Grenadiers grabbing the left side with HMG-42 support, and Paul has only fielded 1 HMG this game. Everything else just Grenadiers. So, not gonna play too risky. Just 1 machine gun, try and support it as well as he can. Grenadiers jumping into green cover right here at this range. We'll need an anti-infantry strafe to turn the engagement. Here it comes. Both squads pinned, and Luvnest will be forced to make a full retreat. AT gun on the field. Maybe Paul can use that to blow up some of these sandbags. They're pretty sturdy. For some reason, Folks Grenadier sandbags are not even close to as sturdy as these conscript super sandbags. Wow, nice rifle grenade right there. Forces a retreat from those guards, and close air support just seems to be trending in Paul's favor. It really does. Luvnest will be forced to make a full retreat again. The real question is, how's the game going to go once Luvnest fields his first Tier 4 unit and call-ins? He built Tier 4, but he didn't field anything out of it because he's kind of losing his advantage, so I guess he didn't feel comfortable delaying his call-ins any further. Here they come. Paul has only 1 AT gun on the field right now. He'll probably get his second one once he sees the call-ins. He probably already hears them coming. He's going to have to wait a little while for the manpower, however. Luvnest will split his T-34s to 2 different fronts. One going left against that machine gun, the other one trying to push away a Grenadier squad here on the right. Will be successful. There's the AT gun moving up to maybe put pressure on that thing. Needs to be careful though. Conscripts charge over open ground into LMG Grenadiers and will lose that engagement for sure. Still no Molotov research, by the way, from Luvnest, so he doesn't have any way to turn those engagements that he's fallen behind on. LMG Grenadiers grab the munitions over here on the left side, and the AT gun is rotating to try and do something about this T-34. This one's gonna go hard right, try and start harassing this territory over here. Guards have grabbed the fuel and strategic points, but the munitions and strategic point are still in Paul's control, so Luvnest is cut off from that, and his fuel income's a little low, only 16 right now. Paul's is pretty good, and it looks like he's going to start floating fuel rather than continue converting it to maybe try and make it to Tier 3 or Tier 4. Anti-tank gun firing on the T-34 over here. It does take engine damage from a Panzerfaust right there. LMG Grenadiers are bringing that Minesweeper squad pretty low. It's got to retreat, and the AT gun is going to put further pressure on that tank. But another tank arrives on the flank of that AT gun. Those Grenadiers are going to have to backpedal to protect that thing. Second AT gun is in production. Oh no, what is that? Anti-infantry strafe on those conscripts. Okay, I thought that was something to kill the AT gun, but it missed. It was a little off target, and it actually missed right there. AT gun needs to try and get to safety. Right, you might want to consider redistributing resources for a rifle grenade on those conscripts or something to try and get that AT gun back to base, because it just got decrewed again, and there's only 1 squad of Grenadiers left on the front line to save the day. And they might get wiped right here because of their decision to try and Faust. They're gonna die. There they go. Grenadier squad wiped. Over here on the right side, did a guard get wiped? No, they just retreated. They're fine. So Paul still has control of the munitions and everything over here on the right, and Luvnest is cut off from the right side fuel. Good map control. Loss of the Grenadier squad hurts. Loss of the AT gun really hurts, but I don't think that those are losses he can't recover from. Just has to try and be careful and not overextend himself. And Luvnest doesn't even steal that, because he doesn't need it against close air support in all likelihood. It's probably not. No battle phase 2 from Paul yet. Still not spending his fuel on anything. other than munitions. Fresh AT gun making its way to the front line, see what it can do against these T-34s. A couple grenadiers need to retreat down the middle. No teller mines yet from Paul, but Luvnest doesn't know that. He does have a minesweeper, and he's been scouting around a little bit with that, but other than that, Luvnest seems to feel pretty confident at extending his tank down this central road. I just heard a dive bomb, but I don't know where it landed. It landed over here. Apparently it didn't do too much. Nice dodge by Luvnest from that conscript squad. AT gun needs to try and pull back to safety away from these C-34s. This one going hard on the flank. Grenadiers are available for a Panzerfaust, but no munitions from Paul right now. He might have to redistribute. There it is. AT gun gets cleared. Anti-tank strafe, I think, coming across the river. Panzerfaust right there. Oh, that was a little off target. That didn't do all that much. Just kind of strafed his own grenadiers right there, and he will be forced back into the base once again. Both AT guns have now been destroyed, and Luvnest is pretty decisively in the lead. Paul needs to be more careful with his AT guns. The AT gun positioning has been a little off this game. He's lost 2 now, which is a lot of manpower down the drain, and he's still bleeding manpower quite badly. Conscripts have recovered a PTRS, taking control of this strategic point here in the south. Both T-34s have soaked up a little bit of Paul's munitions, pull back for some repairs. Luvnest will probably be able to get the VP sticking against Paul again. He still has 250 in the bank, but things aren't going all that well.
Soviet territory reclaimed!
Grenadiers ready.
We have new resources available.
LMG Grens move up to engage against the guards in green cover right there. There's the retreat. Rifle grenade on those conscripts in cover will destroy their sandbags. T-34 engaging against the MG42 over here, but Luvnest has such good map control right now that he was going to get that second set of Collins in pretty soon if he doesn't choose to field a Tier 4 unit, which I think he will at some point. I don't know what this trend is with Soviet players building Tier 4 structures and no units out of it. Weird. There goes that Grenadier squad, just got wiped. AT gun is the only remaining AT gun for Paul right now, firing on that T-34. There's the flank. Panzerfaust. That squad of Grenadiers has to retreat from conscripts and guards over here on the left side. Anti-infantry strafe to try and prevent them from advancing. Will be a little off target. Nice dodge by Luvnest. AT gun there just got cleared. And Paul just can't afford the loss of all these AT guns. Nice flanking maneuvers by Luvnest this game. He just played really, really nicely with those T-34s. Very good tank maneuvering, and he shut down all of Paul's attempts to recover this game. Well played, Luvnest.